Alright guys, I'm gonna make a Portuguese soup here, which usually when I make one, I make a big panela here, and I'll put it all in containers and I'll freeze it. So what I gotta do is I got this nice chunk meat here. I'll cook that first in the water, get that all heated up. Then I'll take it out and cut it all up in small pieces for meat. I'll make some hamburger, fry it up in the pan, get all the grease out of it, throw that in there. I got some chorizo, mild sausage. I got a couple of things of that. I'll render that down, get all the grease out of it. And I got linguiça, which is like a Portuguese sausage. It's red, and chorizo. So I got a couple of chorizo. What I'll do is I'll cut them up. It's already pre-cooked. It's like a sausage. I'll throw all in there. So that's all the meat. I'll go in there. And you got to have kidney beans. I got three big things of kidney beans. I'll throw some diced tomatoes in there. Got to have carrot. Got to have potatoes. What I'll do is I'll clean all them up, dice them up. I'll leave the skin on it. I'll put the potatoes in there. Onions. Okay. I like to throw a couple of things of rice pilaf in there at the end, right at the end. And we're gonna have kale. Got a whole bunch of regular straight kale. I got like whole bunches of it here. I gotta clean it all up, and a thing of cabbage. So it's kind of like a green soup type of thing. But I add the hamburger, and this is like extra that I like to put in. Regular Portuguese soup wouldn't have this, or the rice pilaf, but that's what I put in there. So let me get it going. We'll get a couple of shots as we go, and also got some nice bread here for the end. Some nice garlic bread here. Good looking stuff. Good that for bread, for eating with the soup. So like I said, I'm making a lot more than I need, but I got a big freezer downstairs. I'll put it all in containers and I'll freeze it, and I can take it out as I need it. Alright, so I'll get you some shots as I go. You can see that's probably like 1.5 inches thick. That's a big piece of meat, that chunk meat. What I'll do is I'll just heat it up, get it all cooked, and I'll take the bone out of it, take it out and cut it up. Get the gristle out of it. Guys, you can see I'm getting the hamburger all cooked up. Once it's all done, I'll drain the fat and I'll put it in a container, and I'll do the pork or the chorizo, and I'll do this sausage stuff next. I'll mix that in there with it. Once this is all rendered down, all cooked well, I'll drain the fat out of it and I'll throw it in there. In the meantime, I got that meat in there cooking. That's gonna cook for a while, and I'll start adding the stuff to the pot. Potatoes are gonna take a little while to cook, but once this meat's all pre-cooked, the onions aren't gonna take long. The cabbage and the kale's not gonna take long, and the beans are already pretty cooked. So it's just a matter of getting the meat all done and ready. Then I'll put the potatoes in. I'll put the cabbage and the onions in at the same time. Kale goes in last. It doesn't take long to render that down. I gotta clean it all first, but and the beans are already done. It's a nice meal when it's all done. So it's something that we do a lot up here in the north. Portuguese, they call it Portuguese soup or kale soup. But I'm adding my own little spin to it, and nothing wrong with that. That's how I cook. I basically do what I want to do. Alright, so I got the hamburger all done. What I did was I tipped it and I took all the fat out with a paper towel. A whole bunch of paper towels. So I get rid of that, but that's how I get rid of the oil. I can throw that in the pot. It ain't gonna hurt nothing in there. Alright guys, I got the sausage in here, and I'll cook it up and render it down and get all the fat out of it, type of thing, like I did for the hamburger. I threw the hamburger in the pot already. The meat's going to take a while to cook that meat. That chunk meat's going to cook up good, so let that cook good. In the meantime, I'll keep going on this and get this all cooked up. Alright guys, I got the sausage all cooked up. There's not really a lot of grease with this one. side. I could throw that in the pot too. Throw that in there with the hamburger. The meat's starting to percolate now. That meat will cook for a while. I take that meat out and put it on a cutting board and cut it up with a knife and scissors and cut all the fat out of it. Throw the meat back in there. What I'll probably do is I probably will tip this and get as much fat out of it as I can. I don't need any more fat on me. I got enough on me already. Alright guys, this is the cerise. It's like a Portuguese sausage. And then the linguiça is a little bit thinner. This isn't as spicy as the cerise. Well, that's what it looks like. Cut up the cerise. So I'll finish cutting that up. I'll cut this linguiça up and we'll throw this in the pot. Starting to cook nicely. I finish cutting this up and I gotta get the potatoes in next. That meat's about ready to pull out of there and cut up that chunk meat. Alright guys, I threw all the cerise inside the pot. Basically I got the cerise and the hamburger and everything in there cooking. What I gotta do is I gotta cut this meat up. I'm gonna chop it all up, get all the bones and the gristle that I've been cutting into small pieces so I don't have to worry about it after the soup's done. And I'll throw that back in. Alright guys, I got the chunk meat all cut up. I gave the bone to the dog. I think she'll eat that pretty good there. Is it good, Susie? I'm gonna throw that in there, and then I have to cut up the I don't know how many I'm gonna use. I'll probably use quite a few of those. Clean those up, cut those up, and I'll get the rest of it in there. Alright guys, I got 5 pounds of potatoes here, all cut up. I left the skin on them. I just cleaned them good, cut all the bad spots off. 3 large onions, Vidalia sweet onions. I got a couple of cans of diced tomatoes I'm going to throw in there. What I'm going to do next is the cabbage and the kale, and you know, the green bean, these red kidney beans go in at the end with the greens, because the greens don't take long to render down. I got to clean the greens, and then at the end I'll throw some rice pilaf in there at the end, if I need to take up a little bit of the water. I kind of like that in there, that rice. I'll use the packets and the rice. I'll throw that right in there if I got any extra water in there. Kind of thicken it up a little bit, but it's getting there. It's getting there. It's gonna take a little while to cook the potatoes. Not so much with the onions. Some stewed tomatoes in there. It's going to give it a nice flavor. Might have to add some more water. I'll have to see. I kind of turned the temperature down a little bit because it was really cooking there. For yeah, I'm good here. It's nice and watery. I'll bring it back up to a boil and cook them potatoes. Nothing like cooking with gas. Nothing like cooking with gas. Bring it up to a boil, cook the potatoes. I'll get cranking on the greens now. The kale. Alright guys, so what I do is I rinse off the kale, and I pull the leaves off and break it into chunks. You know, chunks like this. It's all clean. This is the stuff you throw out, is the stem. So I clean all that. And they'll be ready to go in at the very end. It doesn't take long to cook that. The cabbage is a little bit hotter in different spots. I'll cook that a little bit longer. But we can throw the greens in at the end with the kidney beans and the rice if need be. This is still going to come up to a boil, and so I cook the potatoes. I can make sure the potatoes are cooked before I throw any of this stuff in. In the meantime, I'll clean all this, get this prepped and ready to go. Throw it in at the last minute. Be a good meal when it's done. Alright guys, I got the cabbage and the beans. I'm going to throw them in first, and this will be going in last. The cabbage it's all cut up and it's a little harder, you know, and these beans, well, they're pretty much cooked, but I'm going to throw everything in here now, and we'll see how that looks, and I'll throw a couple of containers of rice pilaf in here too. But the potatoes are done. I checked them. looking good. I don't want it to smoky out and looking in there. It's too smoky. Get the cabbage in there. Get it all cut up in small pieces. Beans. And then the kale. Well, I got all the stuff in there, but once it heats up, it's all going to render down. The stuff will all render down. So, maybe come back in a little bit. As you can see, it's going to come back up to a boil, but I want to put this couple of cans of rice in there. A couple of boxes of rice pilaf in there. Mix that up. I'm going to mix it up, but put the packets in there too. Gives it a good flavor, and I'll mix all that up. Let it cook and render down, and then it'll be ready to rock and roll. There you can see it. I got the kale, the cabbage in there. I got the chorizo, chunk meat. I got the hamburger and the sausage. I got the lima beans, and I got the rice pilaf in there. Once that's all rendered down, I'm gonna put a cover on it and let it cook. Now I'll cook it on, bring it up and let it simmer for a while, and that's gonna be done. I'll cook it for another half an hour or so. I'm gonna make sure everything gets done. Nice cover for it, and we'll cook it, get it going, and I'll give you a shot when it's done. I'll give you guys a shot when it's done. Like I said before, I'm making a lot more than I need, but I'm going to put it in section and containers and freeze it for future use. How's it coming there, Susie? You getting there? How's the bone look? Let me see. Yeah, it's getting there, getting down there, getting down there. Dogs in diapers. Be 16 in a couple of days. Looking good. Alright, looks like the dog finished the bone. She cleaned it up well. Bubbling away, she's cooking away. Cooking with gas here. This is a nice pot. It's got a real thick aluminum bottom on it. Very good. It's a real good pan. It's like a commercial pan. I think it's like a 38 or 40 quart. It's a big pan. Let that render down some more and let that cook for a while, and I'll check on it in a little while. Yeah, I keep stirring it from time to time. I don't want it sticking on the bottom, but I don't think it will, because this is such a nice thick pan. It's a real expensive pan. I don't know, it's probably 3/4 of an inch base on it, so it can take the heat. Stir it a little bit more, but it's looking good, guys. It's gonna make sure that cabbage gets cooked good. Stir it. Gonna check on the cabbage, make sure that it's cooked, because that stuff's a little bit you don't want to overcook it, but yeah, it looks good. It's gonna continue to cook when I shut it off too, so the cabbage is a little bit I don't mind if a couple of things are al dente, it's a soup. It's going to be warmed up again, and definitely a nice looking soup. There ain't no doubt about that. That's about that full. That's enough. That's quite a bit. It'll make me some meals. You know, can freeze it. Nothing like that kale soup, man. That Portuguese soup, that's good stuff. Definitely good stuff. Alright, I'll shut it off and I'll let it sit for a while. Let it cool off. Check out this bread I bought. Nice stuff, man. What time is it? I'm able to slice this up with the soup. This is going to be good. Dog's waiting for her bowl. Alright guys, I got the bread here. You can see it's, you know, the chorizo and the meat. The kale, the cabbage, the beans, the rice. I got the hamburger in there. That's a real good meal right there. Very hearty. The potatoes, the onions. This is Portuguese kale soup. That's what it's called. You know, when I add extra stuff to it, I do a little spin to it. But this is gonna be very yummy. See if I can get a bite here. Really hot. But very good. Very good. Good job there, buddy. Alright guys, that's the Portuguese soup. Very yummy. Definitely worth making. Like this panela, I'll let this cool, and I'm going to put this all in containers and freeze it. And I'll have a whole bunch. I'll have a whole bunch for a long time, you know. Just store it out and have meals. That's how I do stuff. I'm just a working guy. I never said I was a chef or nothing, but this is how I cook. So, just figured I'd bring the video, and hopefully you guys enjoy it.